Hello. I've just got back from a mountain adventure. Do you want to see what I took with me in my backpack? Okay. Right. I always take a warm woolly hat and my map book so I don't get lost, and a tin of spaghetti in case I get hungry. Oh, that's strange. The spaghetti's not in there. I wonder if someone took it. Who would want my tin of spaghetti? Well, anyway, tonight's story is called Spaghetti with a Yeti, and it's by Adam and Charlotte Guillain and Lee Wildish. Are you ready? A boy called George had an excellent plan to go and discover the Yeti. He put in his backpack a warm woolly hat, a map, and a tin of spaghetti. Slowly, George climbed up the steep mountain path in search of the mythical beast, when he stumbled straight into a monster who was eating a sumptuous feast. "Hooray!" shouted George. "I knew you'd be here. I'm sure that you must be the Yeti." The monster looked up with a furious gaze. "Are you crazy? My name is Betty." "So sorry, Betty," said George with a smile, "but I'm taking the Yeti some lunch." "In that case, you'll want to take some of these bones, for the Yeti likes food with a crunch." So, George climbed on up the steep mountain path to track down the hideaway brute, when he stumbled upon a big monster with a face like a battered old boot. "Yippee!" shouted George. "I've tracked you down now. I've been searching so long for the Yeti." The monster glared down with the angriest growl. "How insulting! My name is Hetty." "So sorry, Hetty," said George with a sigh, "but I'm taking the Yeti a treat." "In that case, you want to take one of these goats, for the Yeti likes food with a bleat." So, George trudged on up the steep mountain path, dragging the goat by his tail, when he spotted a shape in the distance, and he heard the most bone-chilling wail. "Hurrah!" shouted George. "At last, it is you! I've been looking so hard for the Yeti." The monster looked down with a horrible howl. "Are you bunkers? My name is Nettie." "So sorry," said George, feeling glum, "but I'm taking the Yeti a snack." "In that case, you want to take lobsters and crabs, for the Yeti likes food he can crack." So, George plodded on up the steep mountain path. The difficult climb made him puff. Exhausted, he threw himself down on the ground. "That's it," he cried. "I've had enough." As George sat despondent, his head in his hands, a shadow fell over that place. He felt something hairy, a prod in the back, then turned and looked up at a face. "I found you!" cried George with a big happy grin, and he showed all his gifts to the Yeti. But the monster looked down at the crab and the goat and said, Sorry, I just eat spaghetti. I knew it, George said with a whoop of delight, and he opened the battered old tin. He tipped the spaghetti out into a bowl, and George and the Yeti tucked in. What a great story! That George was so adventurous and so brave, and he tried so hard, and eventually he found that Yeti. Yetis like spaghetti. My spaghetti's missing. I wonder who took my spaghetti. Anyway, it's time to snuggle down and cozy up